Feeling lost, overwhelmed or even demotivated is something that a lot of people experience. And that is mostly because there is just so much information online, which either directly contradicts itself or is just straight up useless. So I want to take a moment to stop for a second so that you can realize what is truly necessary. It's time to get back on track and I will show you exactly how to do it. The first thing that you need to do is to just wipe everything clean. If you are feeling lost in your bodybuilding journey, just scrap the whole thing right now, because clearly it has not been working out. Together we will rebuild it once again, in a much better way that will put you back on track. Once you have turned a new page, it's time to rebuild. But in order to rebuild, you need to know what you are trying to build in the first place. You need to find the reason why. The reason differs from person to person, but you should really try to be honest with yourself. Maybe you are going to the gym just to get a beach body to attract girls, or maybe you enjoy going to the gym just to relieve stress and lift some heavy objects. Or maybe you just finally want to transform from an obese person into a healthy and fit looking human. No matter what it is, you need to identify it and adjust your routine accordingly to it. Because the path to each one of those goals is a little different. And what actually makes the bodybuilding journey satisfying is knowing exactly what you want to achieve and working towards it. We will talk a bit more about progress and goals in a second, because a lot of people keep doing the same exact mistake over and over, and that's why they always end up derailing themselves. Now let's get back to rebuilding. The first thing that you will want to rebuild is your training plan. To do this, the most important thing to keep in mind is to choose the schedule and the exercises that you actually enjoy doing. That is really important. You know, there is no point in working out 6 times per week if you cannot handle it and it just makes your life miserable. Or doing exercises that might be the most optimal, but you absolutely hate doing them. The same thing applies to doing cardio. It absolutely doesn't matter what kind of activity is the most effective, because if you hate doing it, you will not be able to stick to it anyway, and then you are back at square one. The goal is to pick a schedule and exercises that you will look forward to. My advice would be to try sticking with the basic movement patterns and exercises, as they will give you a solid foundation that you can build on. So if you want to make it as simple as possible, just pick one chest press, one shoulder press, one pulling exercise for your back, and if you want to, you can throw in one bicep exercise of your choice. And then of course, include one exercise for the quads and one for the hamstrings. And that's all, just one exercise for each body part, a solid foundation that you can build on in the future, once you are back on track. And when that happens and you feel back on track again, you should definitely try to add more exercises over time and try to experiment with new stuff, because that's the only way that you will actually discover something new and exciting. And by that, I don't mean role-playing that you are in a casino and just doing random stuff all the time. You have the foundation there for a reason, but trying one new exercise from time to time is highly recommended. And I can tell you from my personal experience that when you discover a new exercise that just feels incredible, it's one of the best feelings ever. I still remember vividly when I first discovered the seal row. I was absolutely blown away by it, just because of how amazing it felt. And my enthusiasm for this exercise is still with me even years later. So experiment, try out new stuff, talk to your friends or the people in the gym about their favorite exercises and exchange your experiences. Because yes, you can learn new things, but the most valuable lessons can only be learned by experiencing them firsthand. And not just in bodybuilding, but in life as a whole. And speaking of exploring new things, I have good news for you. My new training plan just came out today. It's the Arnold split, which also happens to be my favorite training split of all time. So if you would like to try something new that will put you on the right track, check out the Arnold split and all of the other training plans by clicking the link below this video. Oh, and by the way, I also added a full in-depth progress tracking guide inside of it, so I think it's definitely worth checking out. Alright, now it's time to tackle your nutrition. If you feel completely lost in your diet, it's once again time to turn a new page and only focus on what really matters. And the only thing that matters for you if you are just trying to get back on track is protein. That is the only thing that you should pay attention to. The easiest thing that you can do is to just try to eat a meal with a decent amount of protein in each third of your day, which will once again create a more stable structure. You could eat more meals than that, but the 3 meals should be those pillars that will always be there, no matter what happens. So plan ahead and make sure those pillars are there to support your diet. The main issue I see a lot of people struggle with is that they just eat what their mom cooks, so they can't get in enough protein. Or the second variation, I eat lunch at school or work and they don't put enough protein in there. But the solution to this is so insanely simple. Either add something to that meal or eat something right after. For example, if your mom cooks you lunch and it looks like there is just not enough protein, then have a glass of milk together with the lunch or grate some cheese on top. That's all it takes, just small adjustments like that. Or if you are eating lunch at some remote place like school or work, just have a half of a protein bar after the meal. It's like a nice little dessert that will most likely nicely top up the necessary protein amount. You can make anything work if you think about it a little bit, or if you just make some little preparations beforehand. As Benjamin Franklin once said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. And now let's finally talk about progress. You have heard me say track your progress a million times before, so yes, that should also be your main focus here. But I want to talk about something a little different I warned you about a little while ago. I want to go a little deeper into the goal setting. Every one of you knows how to set a goal, that's easy. But why do you always fail to achieve that goal? Well, that's exactly the problem. When people set goals, they set the most insane and unachievable goals possible. It's the type of goal like, I'm 400 pounds and my goal is to be 8% body fat and have a six-pack. Sure, it's admirable that you decide to go on a journey like this, but reaching this goal will be a very long journey. And what will happen as a result is that you will most likely get demotivated somewhere along the way and slip back into your old ways. But this could have been all prevented. All that you had to do is set smaller goals. This way you stay motivated because you are constantly achieving something, which makes it fun and rewarding. So instead of going from 400 pounds right to a six-pack, break this journey into smaller checkpoints. Set the first goal to go from 400 pounds to 395 pounds. This makes all the difference in the world, I guarantee you that. And while you are rebuilding everything and setting new goals, don't forget that the things that you are building should be built in a way in which you could do them for the rest of your life. If you build a new routine or a new diet and after a month you start to get irritated and think about giving up, just scrap the whole thing again and learn from the mistakes you made in the previous try. It's always better to do less than to do too much, because you can always add more if you feel like that you can do it. But if you burn out, it's really hard to do anything, because you are already completely cooked. Which also means that when you rebuild, you should not forget about sleep, as it's a vital part of your plan, and without it, everything else will fall apart. You know, you will encounter some troubles along the way, that's just how life is. But it's about collecting experiences along the way and making sure it doesn't happen again. I really like the quote, find a way to find a way, because you can always find a way, even if the odds seem to be stacked against you. Trust me, there is always a way. And if you reached a point where you are just ready to give up, then I'm glad you watched this video, because giving up is not an option. If you need to, just take a week off the gym, scrap everything and don't even think about the gym at all. Just clean your head so that you can start from scratch once again, in your own tempo and your own style. I know that the passion for the gym is inside of you, but in the past you kept on extinguishing it. But that will now change. Give your passion for the gym some time and space so it can grow, and your body will follow. If you really want to take it from the complete beginning, check out this video where I will show you how your first 30 days in the gym should look like.